Okay. Welcome, everyone. We're here for the virtual open day of cinematic and video game architecture in March. I'm Penelope Haralambidou, one of the co-directors of the program. And we have here Luke and Deborah. Maybe you can introduce yourselves.
Yeah, hi, I'm Luke. I'm the other co-director of the CVA program.
Hello, I'm Deborah and I'm the admissions tutor.
So today we will introduce the program. We will introduce the program staff very quickly. We will talk a little bit about the module structure. We'll talk about careers after the program. We'll give some details about the application process, and we will end up with a Q&A where you can ask any questions that you might have, but also you can ask some of the students that will join any questions that you might have. So we will start about talking a little bit about the program and the ideas that led into introducing that program.
Yeah, so this year will be the year that you're applying to this course will be the third year that cinematic and video game architecture has run. And so I guess you could ask the question, why have we developed this course at the intersection of cinema, video games, and architecture? So one of the reasons that we've done that is because architecture has a long history of acting as an underlying structuring device for both film and video games. You can all think of examples from your favorite films or games where the world is really, really important to the narrative quality. But also, as we're seeing today through technologies such as Unreal Engine, the technologies that are used in architecture, in film and video games are kind of being drawn closer together than they've ever been. So examples here could be virtual production in The Mandalorian taking place in Unreal Engine, and also video game Final Fantasy VII Remake in the same piece of software, but being used for very different things. And so this is the first program of its kind in the UK. And we've really designed this program to allow you to critically situate your work in relation to new developments in time-based media, and to think about how these media shape our culture, identity, and our politics. And so throughout your year in CVA, you'll engage in different things. This could be exhibitions, play testing, events and screenings. We also go on a field trip where you'll get to meet people from industry, people from other universities, and kind of experience different places. And we also have as we'll go into a bit more, we have a lot of equipment that enables you to kind of use our studio space in Marshgate as a really great environment for testing and playing around with ideas.
So we will now introduce our staff, and maybe as we are the two presenting this today, we will talk a little bit more about ourselves, the co-directors. So I will start by introducing myself. I'm a professor of architecture and spatial culture here at the Bartlett, where I'm also involved in research and doctoral supervision. In my teaching, I have developed an innovative research-based methodology that uses digital film and immersive environments to rethink architectural design through time. My research employs digital film as an investigatory tool to analyze ideas and work not only in architecture, but also in visual representation, the politics of vision, art and cinema, and most recently, medieval studies. This work has been exhibited internationally, and I'm the author of the monograph Marcel Duchamp and the Architecture of Desire. And my recent research focuses on medieval author Christine de Pizan's proto-feminist text, The Book of the City of Ladies, which was written in 1405. And my solo show was hosted at Domobal Gallery on that work. Finally, in my previous role as director of communications here at the Bartlett, I was part of the team that developed our state-of-the-art virtual Bartlett shows platform in collaboration with Danish website designer Hello Monday.
So yeah, hi, a bit more about me. I'm an associate professor here at the Bartlett. I'm the co-founder of UMP, which is a design research studio that works between architecture and video games. So we've exhibited game-based works internationally at places like the Royal Institute of British Architects, where we had a solo show a few years ago. And we also do consulting for clients. So if they want architectural advice or to understand new types of workflow involving architecture and game design, and we've worked for companies like Google, Samsung, and Ubisoft on that type of work. For many years I taught a studio with Sandra Yukana, who's also the other founding partner of UMP. And this studio is called Videogame Urbanism. And so my kind of teaching background comes from looking at the integration of game technologies into architectural design, how it can open architecture to new audiences, but allow us to dream of and conceptualize new futures. And I've written quite a lot on this subject, aside from this book, written for publications like Frame, Eflux Architecture, and Perspecta, the Yale Journal of Architecture, on this thing. And I've also worked with places like the Serpentine Galleries in London. If you don't know it, I'm sure you will if you come to study on CVA. It's a very sort of forward-thinking gallery that exhibits a lot of game-based and kind of VR-based projects. And I've worked with them on things like their Future Art Ecosystems project, looking at the future of game engine technologies in arts and culture industries. And aside from Video Game Atlas, I've also been the editor of an issue of Architectural Design Journal called Reimagining the Avant-Garde, which looked at kind of conceptual architectural projects from the 1960s and 70s, and how we can find parallels to the type of work that we might do on cinematic and video game architecture today. So thanks.
But we are joined by an amazing team of other tutors. So we have two module coordinators, Claude Dutchen, who is the coordinator and tutor in history and theory, and Haddon Trouble, who is the skills module coordinator, and he's joining us as a design tutor this year. Then we have Deborah, who is within her role of the admissions tutor. She's also going to be a design tutor this year. And Cephas is our spatial computing technician, which is looking after all our equipment and is very helpful in showing you how to use it. Then we have other design tutors, John Cruz, who is also a skills tutor. Sandra Yukana is also a design tutor alongside Camille Dunlop, and Tony Lee is another skills tutor. Finally, another three history and theory tutors are Nestor Pestana, James Delaney, and Ellie Selby. So now we would like to talk a little bit about the location of the program. So the program is located at UCL East, which is UCL's new campus at the Queen Elizabeth Olympic Park in East London. And it's next to new buildings for the BBC, Sadler's Wells, the V&A, and UAL, the London College of Fashion. UCL East is the largest expansion in the university's history, creating a new hub for teaching, learning, and research to help find solutions to the biggest challenges facing people and the planet. Our building is Marshgate, one of the two brand new buildings at UCL East, which features 8 floors of high-tech cross-disciplinary research space and an amazing atrium. And we have a dedicated studio space and a specialist computer lab on the first floor of this building. And because the culture of the Bartlett is to create this studio-based culture, we really want students to use the studio, and this year it has been really positive seeing people working in the studio. The program also provides access to advanced software and equipment, and we also have access to special media suites and the UCL East cinema. So now we would like to talk a little bit more about the module structure.
So the cinematic video game architecture, MArch, is a 1 calendar year course. So it runs from September to September. And as we've already mentioned, the program has been very carefully designed to provide you with the knowledge and skills to produce accomplished and critical architecture projects in time-based and interactive media. And as teachers, we're well aware that students on CVA come from quite a range of different backgrounds. And so the course has been designed to give a kind of foundational knowledge to you, no matter what type of discipline you come from. So this is the overall kind of timetable for the year. You can see in pink, we have design modules. In blue, we have history and theory modules that you take. And in green, we have skills modules. So the design modules are the core of the program, and they begin with an introductory model in the first term, so running from September to December, before going into what we've called a prototype, which you produce, which is a more focused research-based project between January and the end of April. And then following the production of that prototype, you'll then start to work on your final piece of work, which will run from May through till the end of August. And alongside that, you in the history and theory section, you have critical media architecture in term 1, which gives you a kind of overall understanding of history and theory around architecture and media, and that's an essay submitted in January. And then you have a kind of a larger dissertation that runs through until July. And then on the skills front, the skills modules run in term 1 and 2, and they kind of really immerse you into learning all of these new technologies. Maybe we'll go through, a little bit more. So the first module you would take in design is called Introduction to Cinematic and Video Game Architecture. And very briefly, this is a model that's designed to prepare you for the work that you're going to do afterwards. We set a series of quite quick tasks. I'm sure the students that we've got today can speak to how quick those are. It's usually 2 weeks you get set a brief, you have 2 weeks to create something, and then you move on to another thing. But the idea is to bring students together to get you thinking through these technologies as soon as possible, to kind of build up your critical thinking and your experience with working with these technologies. And then in term 2, this will move to Advanced Cinematic and Video Game Architecture 1. And so this is where you, as a kind of independent designer, as a researcher, start to define the kind of topic that you want your final project to take, and start to prototype and explore ideas. So the expectation at the end of this module is not that you've come up with a fully finished project, but that you've got a really clear idea of what you want to do, and you've started to test what that could be. And then in Advanced Cinematic and Video Game Architecture 2, which is 60 credits, it's the largest module on the course. This is the final project. So this is where you bring all of your ideas across the year together, and you produce a kind of really amazing final piece along with a portfolio. And this is where you're really able to take your ideas forward to their conclusion. And I think, as you'll see with some of the work later, students have really gone quite far down into depth of the work that they're producing at the end of the year, and made some amazing things.
And then talking a little bit more about the modules in history and theory, we first have critical media architecture, which is taught through a series of lectures and seminars on the relationship between architecture, film, and video games, but also their associated histories and theories and technologies. So you will be introduced to literature from different related disciplines, such as architecture, media, film, and game studies, discovering how recent advancements in digital technology contribute to the reshaping and expansion of architectural theory and practice, culminating in the production of a short essay. So it's a really short essay in the beginning. So then this followed by working individual with a tutor in the history and theory and practice of a cinematic and video game architecture, where you will research and write a dissertation of the that really informs the final project. It's working through tutorials and seminars, and we expect it to involve original research, as well as references to literature from media studies, film theory, game studies, philosophy, the psychology of perception, and architectural history and theory. So the dissertation works in parallel with your design project, and it's meant to also create and present new knowledge gained through the practical work.
Yeah, and so as we mentioned, the third stream is the skills modules. And so in cinematic and video game skills 1, which takes place in term 1, this module consists of a series of masterclasses and workshops, which give you skills in software for film, animation, game design, virtual reality, and so on. It's broadly split into one section of cine skills, so for practical effects, filming, compositing, camera work, lighting, and then another section which deals more with Unreal Engine and how to connect Unreal Engine out into things like game design, to virtual production, to virtual reality. So this module really kind of gives you a lot of content in order to build up your skills during that first term. And then in cinematic and video game skills 2, there'll be a combination of workshops, but also slightly more independent working, where as your design project progresses, you may have developed a unique kind of working methodology in terms of how you use technology. And so this gives you the space to build on the core knowledge, but also to start innovating and creating new technological advancements for yourself. Just to say that both of these modules are kind of delivered and submitted as short portfolios where you show and demonstrate the knowledge that you've learned, how you've applied it, and how you can think critically about these tools. So it's not just you receiving things, we also ask you to kind of respond creatively to that as well.
Our program at the end of the year is going to be part of the Autumn Show, which takes place at the 22 Golden Street in September, and it's a great opportunity to showcase your work, but the whole process of putting the show together we see as part of the educational process as well. Your work will also feature in the Autumn Show catalog, but also the Bartlett Show's website, which has a significant international reach. So these are ways that your work can be made public. This year, we also hosted a special event, Cinematic and Video Game Architecture Live, where people were able to, in person, discuss the work with potential industry visitors. And everything about our course is part of the student manual that we update every year, and something that you will receive at the start of your course. So we wanted to start talking about, to present very quickly some of the student work from last year. So we will go through some slides very quickly, and we'll ask Jonah, and is Lisa and Cleo here? They might.
Yeah, they're here.
Okay, so this is the work of Arina, and which is called Virtia, the Perfect World. And she used an allegory of digital hair as currency to make a film that critiques social media economy by exposing how platforms commodify interactions, attention, and data. It reflects on our role in the digital landscape and its impact on societal and individual identity.
So this is Emily's video game, Echoes of Home. Drawing on Hirsch's theories of post-memory, the game introduces new methods of storytelling to advocate for a third space, a virtual homeland for the Armenian diaspora, reimagined through player agency. So
this is Jason Huang, and his music video centers on the courtroom trial of a corpse, exploring themes of alienation through a surreal narrative. Set against the backdrop of fragmented memories and musical performances, the protagonist moves between different physical and digital worlds that shift in scale.
This is Katrina Lin's game, Symbiocene to Grieve with the Dead. So this experimental eco game presents an ideal vision where extinct species are digitally revived. Players unconsciously repeat the same destructive patterns of human activity, serving as a satirical critique of the Anthropocene.
And Laura, in her Lost Kingdoms, it was inspired by contemporary critiques of the museum as an institution towards decolonization of the museum and cultural accessibility, And so she made this game that reimagines history and heritage. Her project transforms the museological experience into an interactive and exciting journey through the mythical lost kingdom of El Dorado.
And this is Eugene Luo's game, Welcome to the VR game, Welcome to the Gig Arcade. So this VR game reflects upon the practice of gamification in the gig economy and highlights its overlooked addictive nature. The game pays tribute to the power of Japanese mascots and extends their inflatable language from mere characters into whole architectural spaces.
So we have Lisa and Cleo here.
Oh, I can't hear you, Lisa.
I can.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, this project is a collaboration between me and Cleo. So this project is set 50 years into the future in a self-sustained smart home where artificial intelligence has changed the domestic sphere beyond recognition. Living in a data-driven world surrounded by the expanding grid of Internet of Things, we wanted to question what roles are left for humans to play in a house with a mind of its own.
Brilliant.
And the project is
Sorry. Wow. Sorry.
time's so short. So the experience lasts approximately 15 to 20 minutes, during which players embody an elderly individual living alone through interactions with the surrounding virtual environment. XR interactable artifacts. Players uncover aspects of their own identity, engage with the story, and are ultimately invited to make a choice that determines their fate. And so the narrative serves as a commentary of the future of intelligent elder care, and also we're aiming to provoke reflection on the intersection of technology and the essence of life. Thank you.
Brilliant.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Jonah. This is my project Spacious, which was essentially reimagining what a user interface could be in a virtual reality setting. So really playing on the idea that computers could become a lot more physical and tactile in a kind of virtual world. And so kind of apps became, say, different rooms in your house, and kind of objects became very bespoke and specific and kind of had very specific affordances. And then on top of that, there was a spatial programming language called Rhythm, that was kind of also a possible solution to the lack of control that we're kind of sometimes given as users over our digital lives and data and things like that. So yeah, kind of trying to really play with architecture, but bring it into a virtual setting and see what that could look like.
Great. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thanks, both.
So, we're often asked by prospective students about opportunities to show your work and have discussions with people from industry. So we prepared some slides of the talks and workshops, as well as the invited critics that we had last year. Do you want to say something?
Yeah, so throughout the year, we had a series of visitors come in to talk about their practice, maybe how they develop their careers, and give insights to students about maybe different possible directions in which they might want to take their work in the future. So we were joined by Tamar Clark-Brown, who's a curator at Serpentine Galleries, about the Third World, the Bottom Dimension project that she did with the artist Gabriel Massan. Studio Oriomingus is an indie game studio based in India that does a lot about Indian culture and identity in their game work. And then we were also visited by Miriam Bellard from Rockstar Games, who talked about her kind of background in both architecture and films and how she moved through took that experience through to one of the biggest games companies in the world. We also have had visitors such as Jamie Rhodes and Paula Strunden, who did kind of more hands-on workshops with students about kind of VR embodiment and also narrative kind of structures in the work. And this has also been combined with visitors on the history and theory modules, like Tobias Ravel, who came in to talk about AI. Kevin Pollard came in to do some amazing sound workshops with the students. And I think the last person to come up was from this year. We were lucky enough in the history and theory module to be visited by the artist Alice Bucknell, and they gave us an amazing kind of lecture taking place in a game engine about their work. And so we will continue with this. We'll continue with this year, and obviously the year that you join us, to bring you into contact with some really interesting practitioners in different industries to sort of see where your work might fit. And alongside that, we're also joined by kind of guest critics in the different reviews. So people like Keiichi Matsuda from Liquid City, who are a kind of pioneering XR firm that works with companies makes games, makes experiences, works with companies like Niantic on kind of AR, or the future of AR design. Greg Kithriotis, who's a graduate of the Bartlett, actually, who then created this amazing game called Sable. And then, yeah.
Also by Ollie Alsop from Squint, who is an internationally renowned firm with a mixed portfolio of digital animation, film, and exhibition design using time-based technologies, but also Sebastian Chu from Cream, which is a CGI direction and research practice, whose work explores the boundary between the uncanny and the hyperreal. Some students also continue their study in doctoral research, and Luke and I are supervising a student, Eric Wong, already, but one of the students from last year, Jocelyn Wong, also joined us, and we're both again supervisors of a project looking into environmental storytelling. So that's a route of continuing research for students through the program. Finally, another question is about careers and destinations after the program. And obviously, we just had the first cohort of students graduating, so we're we don't really have that many, but we were amazed about how quickly everyone was snapped up by different companies. And they might be able to tell you a bit more later about this, but Ziyan actually joined this advertising company as an apprentice in this apprenticeship, which is really competitive. Lisa is with Forster and Partners in visualization and film, and they might come and talk to us actually soon. Cleo has set up her own company and is doing some really interesting work. I didn't really know that, but I had a quick look recently, which is really exciting. And then Jonah has just been offered a job at Aardman, the animation company. So yeah, I think we're not surprised because you're all quite amazing. But it's quite nice to see. And maybe Deborah could say a couple of words about the application process now.
Okay. Okay, amazing. So can you guys hear me well? Yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
fantastic. So the first stage is to apply, is to upload your documents, or first documents, the CV, academic record, personal statement. Probably you will also be asked for an English language test. Then the second step is to upload your digital portfolio with some examples of academic work. We have also developed like some sort of a template that we are asking like precise questions. You have to kind of understand where you are landed within the program, like also within the school and so on. Then after having reviewed this material, the selected applicants will be invited for an interview online. And after that, usually this interview takes place between myself and probably Penelope and Luke also will be joining that process. And then approximately a few weeks later, you will receive like the final decision. So for those applicants who are required to request a visa The final deadline is the April 4th in 2025 for this year. And for those who do not require visa is August 28th. However, I think that we will recommend to apply as soon as possible and to kind of to not wait until the very last moment, because as we are doing offers, as we are receiving applications, I think that it's better to secure a position as soon as possible. Not sure if I'm missing something at this point. Penelope and Luke, if you think so, just let me know.
That's great, thanks.
So what we are looking in the portfolio, you will see that we are not precisely requesting that you have to submit a portfolio like a PDF, but sometimes we are, because we know that most of the applicants for this program, sometimes they are developing different type of work that can range from video to video games and so on. We are also asking for link, and that link can basically brings us to a YouTube channel, it can bring us to a website, can bring us to different formats. So please understand that we are quite open in the way in which you can share your work with us. And the idea is that we are searching for your best work, also the one that is more updated. You can also include material from other degrees that you might have done, also material, and we usually are searching also for one of the projects that you feel more representative and that you feel that it will be more, let's say, representative of your works with respects to the program. But you also understand that I think that we are very open with different tracks that people might take, either if they are coming from architecture, from other fields, but we are usually quite open about it. So do not think that if you are coming from a different program, we are only going to be searching for architecture. There are like different backgrounds within the program. Include variety of work, different skills, different media. And it is important that we are seeing work developed independently. We understand that in many instances, many of you might be working in groups, but we are also like looking for independent work that you have developed on your own. I think that it is important that we see like sort of a thesis where you are like, there might be some contextual analysis and some concept development and how you are able to kind of give response to this initial premise that you probably set for yourself. It is important to kind of show how creative, imaginative, innovative your portfolio and your projects might be. And it is important also for us to understand what are the skills that you guys already have, to understand where you will land with the skills that we will have to teach you in the future. As you might imagine, to kind of control different softwares that we are currently teaching in the program, we also need to understand what level you guys have. So it's important that your portfolio is also able to show that. And of course, like better drawing and 3D modeling skills, the best, like that's much better, no question. And I will also say that for those who are like coming for interviews and so on, usually we set up like a very friendly and kind of positive environment. So just try to be confident, to try to be like expressive of your work. And I think that that's related to the portfolio and the type of skills that we are searching and looking for. Regarding to the English test, I will recommend that you can at the beginning apply without the English requirement, but if you have it already, I will say that it is highly recommended. Then we are asking for a level 2. If you have any questions, like if you type UCL English requirement level 2, you will see there from IELTS, TOEFL, different degrees of what it means each of them. Academically, we are asking for where we in the UK is a 2-2. And this might vary between different programs in different places in the world, but the baseline for us is a 2-2. And you will have to submit your portfolio, and yeah, there is going to be like a 10% deposit fee once you have been offered a position. And I think, yeah, I think is all from me. Yeah.
One thing
Okay.
to add is that because it's actually quite good to see projects that have been done as part of your degree, as well as so we usually ask to see at least one project that has been done as part of your previous degree, whether it's architecture or something else. So even if there is a project that you might have done after or independently, please prepared to show a project that you have done part of your education.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you, Deborah.
Thanks, Deborah.
And I think that's it. I think that was the presentation. Thank you all very much for listening. But